Dear students, so this is your Maria ma'am with the last part of the biodiversity and the conservation. So in the last class, we have talked about the loss of biodiversity. Now let us talk about the causes of the biodiversity. So when we refer the causes of the biodiversity, it has been described in a great concern actually. The causes of the species extinction. I told the species get vanished off. It has been summarized in a sobriquet. Sobriquet means that is called as an evil quadrat. So what is evil quadrat? Evil means bad. Quadrat means the four causes. We call it as a quadrat. So here, which are the four causes means that is habitat loss and fragmentation, over exploitation, alien species invention, and co-extinction. So these are the four causes of the loss of biodiversity. Hence, they are called as the evil quadrat. So that's the main meaning for the evil quadrat. This question it will appear for nearly 5 marks also in your examination. So we'll get into the slide to know more about this. Coming to the first evil. So the first evil quadrat is habitat loss and fragmentation. What do you mean by habitat loss? Habitat means the place where we are living, the habitual place where we are living. If it's been destroyed, what happens? See, when the flood came, also many of the houses were being destroyed. What happened to the human? He has to go into the jungle or go into the another place where he can habitat himself and again start his living. This what happens even with an organisms. So here habitat loss means it is the destruction of the ecosystem by unwanted human activities. Which are the unwanted human activities? Urbanization, intensive farming, deforestation, mining. So in yesterday class also I have told you, in this picture I have shown, see in this side this is in a forest area. In the forest area, in center of the forest, see how they have cutted the trees and they have removed the trees. Now the animals which were been living in this area where they have to go. So when there is a small pieces, that is in a patch of the forest is being destroyed, that what we call it as a fragmentation. So it is called as a separate fragments. When they destroy, you are going to destroy the animals houses. Their genetic variation will not occur and the genetic establishment will not occur between the population or between the community. So here in this picture you can see when the most of the trees or plants are being cut here, that is deforestation. Why do they go for the deforestation? I told you urbanization. What do you mean by urbanization? They want the land for the for building and construction of the industries and malls and big what do you tell shopping areas they want and house construction. So they convert the land into the for the space for living of the human population only. But we are not aware that when we cut this tree, when we undergo deforestation, again it affects back on the human race and causes the problem on the human. We don't believe in that. We believe we are becoming rich and we are establishing with the technology, so no need of anything accumulation of money, destruction of the biodiversity only nowadays we have in our mind. By this it is an adverse effect on our own living. So one day all the crop field have been chopped and converted into the buildings. So there will be scarcity of the food also. That time what happens, the food will come in the form of a tablet. I think so once I have told you, when the now we get most of the food in the tin. Okay, we call it as tin food or the canned food which is being stored, and we have to pay more amount when the crop production is more. So the cost of the crop also will decrease. When the crop production is less, why it becomes less? Due to the conservation of the farm field. So this what we call it as a intensive farming also, and it affects adverse effect on our own living bread and butter, we tell no, like that it affects us only. So we are crubbing the houses of most of the animals. Later what happened, the ecosystem will not be balanced, food chain will not be balanced, food web is not balanced. Does an ecosystem will be stable? that community cannot undergo stability, productivity also will be having a loss. So that what we call it as habitat loss. So, and most of the organism which leave their houses and get adapted into another area, some of them they survive according to evolution, some of them will not survive. That's what Darwin called survival the fittest. So when we leave our house and run and sit on the Himalaya telling down is a water, how long we can survive? So that is in a question mark. So that's what even with that of the animals which are being in the forest. So what in the tropical rainforest only, this is in a picture we have I am showing. So the most important cause is example is tropical rainforest, which has lost 14% to 6%. See, this affects even the rainfall. When there is habitat loss, fragmentation, cutting of the trees, and there is no availability of the animals, and the rooting, as they go for mining, and mining, the roots of the all the trees becomes loosened and they start falling also. And if there is no rainfall, it occurs drought also, and extra oriented mining also will cause an adverse effect. So this adverse effect will cause exploitation and loss of biodiversity. So 1,000 hectares of rainforest are being lost within hours. Before and all, what do you tell? A cutter take an access and goes into the forest and cut the trees. Nowadays, it is not required. You sit in one side and switch on. The technology is so very improved. The blades will go with that like an tractor and get cut all the trees and get bundle the all the tree woods, and it will be come back to the industries. So this what is happening, more the increase in the technology built up, we are destructing our own biodiversity, I feel. I hope you also join with me in understanding this. So the next, see, in habitat loss, when we take Amazon, deforestation in Amazon, I told you, know, in the center of the forest only, they eradicate everything, they cut down everything. And that's why we always tell in the classroom also while explaining. Now it is not an Amazon forest, it has been become Amazon.com. That means one dot of area only is left. The surrounding area of the forest is being utilized for the raw material of the industries, or for the what elevations of the road might be, then a connection between the two areas might be. So this due to this what happened, the habitat, that is houses of the most of the animals are destroyed even in Amazon forest. So here the statement I have given, the Amazon rainforest is being cut for the cultivation of the soya bean, for the conversion of the grasses lands for the cattle. So here overgrazing also is not good. So, no, overgrazing is also not good. It is also destroys the biodiversity and other plantations also. So this is what happening with that of the Amazon rainforest. So fragmentation badly affects the animals, requiring the large territory migratory animals. So now the animals will not know the road, nor it knows the crossing the road. Wherever when we travel in between the jungles, you might have been observed, the animals would have been running around on the we feel they have come to the road. Actually we have come in their area. Okay, they are in their places where we are going to accumulate it, and we fragment their area, and by this what happened, we are destroying them also, and their houses also, their habitat also. So that what we mean by habitat loss and fragmentation. The next evil is over exploitation. When we consider over exploitation, see, over exploitation means it is harvesting and renewable resources to the point of diminishing the returns. Over exploitation means you go on cutting the trees, and if you need not to plant it again. So what happened? Overgrazing, overfishing, over cultivation, hunting. This all leads to the over exploitation of various natural resources by the human activity. By this what happens? Here also most of the birds and animals become extinct. Extinct means that species only will not exist. It get vanished off. Yes or no? So here two examples we have given here. One is passenger pigeon. this passenger pigeon, this species is no more, it seems. 500 years back it was there, now it is no more. That is passenger pigeon and stellar sea cow. So these cows are also not there because they go for fishing. That is what we call it as over fishing. Everything when it becomes too much is too bad with that. That is the meaning of the word over. But what we are trying to tell, over exploitation is also one of the evil for the loss of biodiversity. Okay, third cause. So the third is alien species invention. Now you imagine in the next door some group of aliens from another planet, they come and land into Gokak. Will you get survived with them? You will pack yourself and run away because you don't know how they behave, what they are. Either you will not get survived with them or you will lose your breath. So that what happens even with the animals. So when we tell the examples of this, that only any new animal is introduced into the another habitat, the other indigenous habitat animals will not survive. Either they will die or they will get extinct. That is what I have shown in this picture. So in this picture, I have tried to show you, see this one. So in this here you can see invasive species. Invasive means alien species when it is entering into the seabed. Other fishes which are indigenous means the which are already been there, they get scared of this species. So they will not exist. Okay, either they die or they move away from that place. So this what the indigenous species will get destroyed of when there is introduction of a new species. So in usually in South America and North America, we have seen such things that in alien species invention, this is the first example where the Nile perch was introduced into Lake Victoria in the East Africa. It caused the extinction of 200 species of chichiled fishes in the lake. That means, see, this is chichiled fishes. These are indigenous, means that is their house. When the Nile perch, can you see here this fish when it was be introduced into this lake of Victoria, this all fishes they died, it seems. So they got extinct. So no more we find this type of fishes in that lake. So this what happened due to the introduction of an Nile perch. So this was a big example for introducing a new species in an unknown place. Okay. So the second example of alien species invention is invasive weed species like carrot grass Parthenium. When we talk about Parthenium, you know, in India, okay, this is introduction in India. Parthenium is not our country specimen. Okay, Parthenium, they tell it was brought into India when they had packed the wheat and they imported the wheat from the Mexico. So with that wheat grains of sack bags, the carrot grass came into India. So when this carrot grass was introduced in India from Himalaya up to Kanyakumari, you can see the carrot grass. The carrot grass is Parthenium. In Kannada, they tell Congress plant. So this Congress plant, it looks very beautiful, like it has a small white bud like flowers and all. And most of them that time what happened when it has been came in that wheat sacks, they planted it seems. So when they planted, it is an unwanted plant, it is a weed, it started spreading itself. You know that pollen grains causes asthma, it is a pollen allergy. Okay, it causes a pollen asthma because it's a indicator for the pollen allergy. It is this carrot grass. Even the babies or the where puppies, when they go near to these plants, what happens, they get the scratches on their body. So very allergical plant it is, and those pollen grains also very allergy they are. And in our country it is spread like anything. That means what, when the weed is introduced, it will not allow the growth of other plants. Even in the farm field also, unknowingly it will all be grown. So what do they do? The farmers usually they pick and they doing. I mean, they clean it, the clean the weed. If not, what happen? The what the plant crop they expect that not it will not be allowing it to grow. So this what happens when we introduce a new plant into the unknown area, which we call it as a weed. So one is Parthenia, that is a carrot grass. Second is lantana camera. In our area also, we can see most of the lantana camera. This lantana camera also has a fragrance, but this is a weed which is not of any use. Okay, then thirdly, coming to water ices. Water ices, I think so. I have told you and a story of introduction of ecornia, that is water ice snake in the river bed or the lake. So even you can see in your own river or the lake, okay, surrounding you have one river and one lake where you can see enormous growth of the ecornia. One side, if you go on cleaning, another side it will start growing. It is such a way it will cover up the whole lake itself. When it cover up the whole lake, what happens? The under water bed, the phytoplankton and zooplankton and fishes, all this will not get the proper sunlight and it will die. That means it is spoiling the pond ecosystem and also killing all the indigenous animals. So this why it is called as terror of Bengal also I have told you. In Bengal usually there are all the people fish eaters. Some people had introduced that plant in the lake, and as it was been introduced after few days they were able to see it has been covered the whole lake. And when it is covered the whole lake and the native fish, okay, the indigenous fish which they have been culturing in that lake were all been killed because it will not survive because the water was being clogged with these plants and the animals couldn't receive the proper oxygen. So BOD level also increased, and due to this what happened? Cause of this ecornia, the whole fish species only was being completely killed, and there was a very much loss for the fisheries. Okay, there was a loss because they were dependent on the fish as a food. So this what we call it as, that's why it was called as a terror of Bengal. Which one? Water ice snake or ecornia. Okay. Next example is illegal introduction of African catfish. I think so. Even in Markandeya river, you would have been seen most of our people will be catching this Indian catfish and they eat it. But they tell it will cause cancer. Catfish, African catfish, Calarius garipinus, for aquaculture, it is posing a threat to the indigenous catfish. So in our rivers, we have a Indian catfish which are completely black color. So these black color fishes, catfishes are edible. But the fish which you can see here, this is somewhat grayish, I mean brownish in color, and this catfish is very dangerous, they tell. And when this was being introduced, it started killing our indigenous catfish. So we have now the breed of African catfish than that of the Indian catfish. So this what happens when there is an introduction of an alien species in any habitat. Next, fourth evil is co-extinction. What do you mean by co-extinction? When one species is dependent on the another species and that one species is being destroyed, even another species will automatically get destroyed. Okay, see here. When a species become extinct, the species associated with it also will become extinct. So here, extinction of parasites when the host is extinct. Okay. So if an organism which is a parasite, it does not get the host. Even the host is destroyed, the parasite also get destroyed. So that what we call it as co-extinction. Together they get extincted. Together they get vanished off. So in co-evolved plant pollinator, mutual extinction of one of the causes of the extinction of the other. So co-evolved plant pollinator mutualism. So here when we refer plant pollinator mutualism, there is one example also. Where some of the plants are dependent on flowers are dependent on particular insects for pollination, and they won't accept the pollination by other insects. So in such cases, we call it as a plant pollinator mutualism. If that insects are being destroyed, even that plant with that also will get destroyed. So that's what we call it as co. Together they get extinct. If one is killed, another one also will get killed. Like in food chain, it will not follow the balances. So that's what we mean by the co-extinction. So these all are the four evil quadrat or the causes for merely loss of biodiversity. Okay. Next topic is biodiversity and conservation. Up to here we have studied the loss of biodiversity, why the biodiversity is being lost. Now let us try to understand what is conservation, means how to protect the biodiversity. Now we have understood we are losing biodiversity. Now let us understand how to conserve it. Okay. So biodiversity conservation. So the reason for the conservation means it is narrow utilitarian arguments are there, broadly utilitarian arguments and ethical arguments. So all these are also said to be the reasons for conservation. So first one, let us understand what is naturally utilitarian argument. See, in the natural utilitarian arguments, we all are dependent on the plant products. Okay, whether it is the forest or whether we cultivate it also. We coming to the forest, most of the drugs, raw materials, medicines, they are all completely dependent on the forest product. So forest being the raw material, if the forest is completely destroyed and even this scarcity occurs, again it befalls on the human. So for the sake of human activities only, we erode the our biodiversity. When we erode biodiversity, we cannot, after few days, we cannot get availability of the medicines or the drugs or the food crops. So that is an argument. So here 3 points are given. So human drive economic benefits. What are economic benefits? Just now I told you from nature what all we get in this picture also we can see, such as a food, we get the food, we get the firewood, fiber, construction material, industrial products, that is raw materials for the most of the industry, such as the tannin, lubricant, dyes, resins, that is gums, perfumes and also medicine. So for this sake, at least we have to save the forest areas. Then 25% of the drugs are derived from the plants. Of course, most of the plants, medicinal plants are we get in the forest bed also. Some we get in the hills and mountains also, where it is been collected. If we go on eroding the biodiversity, all these products, if it is not available, means what happens the next the adverse effect will be very bad. Then 25,000 species of plants have the medicinal value. So as we use them as a medicine, the nowadays there are many causes of diseases also, new diseases also have arisen. For that the medicine we get it from naturally, means that is by the plants. So you have to save the plants or the forest areas for at least for the sake of the food and for the medicine. Okay. Broadly utilitarian arguments. What is broadly utilitarian argument? When biodiversity plays a major role in the ecosystem services. What do you mean by the service? Service means what all ecosystem is giving to us. So when we take the first picture, This is Amazon forest, which we call it as the lung of the planet. Why it is called the lungs of the planet? Means 20% of the total oxygen to the earth atmosphere is given by the Amazon forest. That's why it is called as lungs of the planet. Then the next is point is pollination through bees, bumblebees, birds and bats. All these are by the plants only. So where these all are said to be what a broadly utilitarian. Then aesthetic pleasure. Aesthetic means say when we move into the zoological parks, botanical gardens, it gives us a pleasure. Okay, that's what we call it as aesthetic pleasure. Yes, then ethical arguments. So if there is no, we don't find an ethical value in an organism. If we believe they are also living organism, definitely we tell ourselves we have some ethic towards our environment, believing in another organism also there is life. Okay, when we start believing there is a life in other organism other than the human race, and of course you can save or conserve the half of the biodiversity lives, that is animals. Okay, so every species has an intrinsic value, means internal value is there. It's our moral duty, it's our moral, I mean humanity, to save the animals, and we have to think ourselves, even they are living with us in an ecosystem. If they are not there in the ecosystem, it won't mean to be a ecosystem. Only human race cannot be built up to form a one complete ecosystem or a stable community. A stable community addresses that all type of animals, all type of trees, all type of plants with that of the human beings. If it is there only, it is in a complete ecosystem. So if you want a complete ecosystem, you should also know to maintain the other lives around us in our own environment. So that what you mean by ethic and ethical arguments. Okay, there are two, types of conservation. There are two types of conservation, such as in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In situ conservation means on site. Ex situ conservation means off site. That means off site means from their habitual you extract them and conserve them in the another habitual, which we call it as an off site also. So in this in situ conservation, here 3 points I have given showing you the conservation of genetic resources within natural or human-made ecosystem in which they occur. It includes protected areas such as natural parks, sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, cultural landscape, natural monuments, etc. India has nearly 14 biosphere reserves, 90 national parks, and 448 wildlife sanctuaries. What do you mean by in situ conservation? Here, in situ conservation means the animals or the wildlife organisms or they are being saved. The higher plants might be hills might be, the mountains might be with their own greenery, with their own habitual. Their places are not destroyed. They wherever they are, there only a fencing is put by the forest area people, and it is being protected so that they can roam happily, easily in their habitat. We as a human being will not go and disturb their activity. So such protection we call it as a in situ conservation. That means the biodiversity is protected in their own natural habitat other than the human activities interfering with their eventual life. So that what we call it as in situ conservation. So that what we have shown in this three picture. In this way, India has nearly 14 biosphere reserves, 90 national parks, and 448 wildlife sanctuaries, which are conserving most of the wildlife. When we start conserving most of the wildlife or the plants or the trees, when we conserve, the extinction will get reduced. Okay, so here example is Ervakulam. So Ervakulam is a national park in Munnar. Here they have placed strictly reserved for the welfare of the wildlife and private ownership, cultivation, grazing. All these are prohibited. Here what happened in the forest areas also, there will be one core zone that is in the center of the forest area, where even human activities for hunting might be, collecting the raw material for the industry might be, for the medicine might be, or for the study or research might be, it will not be allowed. So when it is or not allowed over there, when the human does not interfere with the activity of the wildlife and also the other organisms of that habitual, definitely there will be saving of most of the animals and the organism which can, where they live happily in their own places. Next is in situ conservation, that is sanctuary, that is Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary. Here also protection is given only to the animals. That collection of the timbers, minor forest product, private ownership are allowed only so long that shouldn't harm any animals. If they harm animals, they will be put behind the bar, that you already know. Then Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary in Kerala, it is quite famous. Next example is Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, that is Ooty. So you have been heard Ooty, very nearing to the place also. If you have a chance to visit the Nilgiri Hills, you should go and visit. There are nearly many forest area with a thick growth, the richness of species existent. You'll understand what is the richness of a forest area or a mountain areas, where there will be conservation and for the sustainable. What do you mean by sustainable use? Means sustaining our resources for the next generation, means retaining our resources for the next generation, means we have to conserve the biodiversity. So this is one of the example, Nilgiri Biosphere Reserves. Next is in situ conservation, sacred groves. Coming to the sacred groves, see forest fragments which are communally protected based on the religious belief. Example is sacred groves in Kashi and Jainita Hills in Meghalaya, Araivali Hills of Rajasthan, Western Ghat regions of Karnataka and Maharashtra, Saruja, Chanda, Bastra areas of Madhya Pradesh. Here what happens, it is our Indian tradition in the ancient days, the people to protect the forest area. If the forest is not protected, they had an idea the rain will become less. If the rainfall becomes less, again there will be scarcity of the crops growth. So according to this, to conserve the forest area or the hills or the liveness of those mountains, they what they did, they made an what it tell postulates only, we can tell, by our ancient peoples, which become a tradition. Religious belief is our tradition and our culture. By that religious belief, our Indians will not destroy any forest area. So this idea is merely a good thing, but that's why only we tell India in among 12 mega diversity, our India is also one of the mega diversity country, because we are saving our own forest area in the name of a god, telling there is a life over there, there is a god is living over there. So it is understood, we try to see the presence of the peace and the god in the another organism. So that is the example for all these things. So that how we are saving and conserving our own forest areas. Okay, coming to the ex situ conservation, it retains the genetic resources center. Here you can see storing of the seeds might be in the seed bank. This is culturing of the plants in the tissue culture. Then storing or preserving the semens in the bottles or in the vial, which we call it as cryopreservation. So when these gametes are stored in the 196 degree of the liquid nitrogen, it is called as cryopreservation. Here you can see the cows and the bulls and most of the superior quality cows are being kept in the farms for the high yield of the milk and all. This was all we call it as ex situ conservation. Why is ex situ conservation needed? Means it is a genetic resource center. Okay, And zoological parks also, these are the places where the animals are kept for our aesthetic pleasure. Okay, so executive conservation also benefits, increases the economic value of that country. Then wildlife sanctuary parks. Next is botanical gardens. Even botanical garden are meant to conserve many types of plant and plant species where extinct will not occur. There are many endemic species also in the botanical gardens, which are the houses for the many species of the plants and trees. Then gene banks. In gene banks also there will be storage of many types of genes of different types of plants, might be organism, might be. Then cryopreservation, I have told you, storing the semen gametes of the plants and also of the animals in the liquid nitrogen of 196 degrees Celsius. We call it as cryopreservation. Okay. Then hotspots. What are hotspots means? Hotspots means the region which are high species richness. High species richness means enormous thick growth of the plant area where they will find in a canopy, like forest areas. So the forest areas means where there will be high density of a richness of the more types of species. Here there will be high degree of endemism. What do you mean by endemism means? Species which will be confined to a particular place will not be found in anywhere else. So that what we call it as endemism. Here when it is protected in this area, and the threatening of that organism to get extinct also will get reduced. Merely in the world 34 hotspots are being identified. Before it was 25. Now the 34 hotspots has been identified in the world. Among that, India has the three major hotspots. And which are the three major hotspots means Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma, and Himalaya. This three hotspots I'll show you in the picture here. Okay. So this is the Western Ghats hills, you can see, with the thick growth of the plants area, completely covered greenery. The Ghats section you can see, and here you find a high species richness. Okay. The next one is Indo-Burma hotspot also. Here also you can see all the mountains are completely filled with a thick vegetation. Then third one is Himalaya. So Himalaya hills also we tell there are many medicinal plants are being found in the Himalayan hills. This is the third one. So this hotspot together cover nearly 2% of the earth land area, but species richness is extremely high over in these places. The protection of these hotspots, I told you know, it may reduce nearly 30% of the organism to get extinct. That means we are going to conserve the organism, most of the organism not to be get vanished. If they are protected in their own habitual, the genetic variation also increases. Then what do you our own globally, what is the measure they have taken in protecting the biodiversity conservation means? Here first Earth Summit was being called in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. So when it was being called, certain objectives were being announced and it was being accepted by nearly many country people. What were those three objectives means? Conservation of biodiversity, sustainable use of biodiversity. What do you mean by sustainable use means? We using the biodiversity in a minimized amount so that we keep the resources, natural resources or the biodiversity for the next generation also. Then sharing the benefits arising from the genetic resources, using the technology, implementing the most of the organisms for the welfare of the human race, instead of eradicating the biodiversity, using the genetic resources and implementing it into enormous amount only. We call it as a sharing of benefits arising from the genetic resources. The second World Summit was been conducted in Johannesburg in South Africa in 2002, where nearly 190 countries pledged to reduce the current rate of biodiversity loss and applying all those three objectives in the country and trying to save the biodiversity of our country, so that we have a good health and a good wealth and a good environment around us. That is the main theme for conservation of the biodiversity. So that's all for today's class, children. That completes the chapter. So meet you in the next class with another chapter. I hope you have understood the complete chapter. Question answers all a PDF I have sent. Try to write in your book, and when you come to the college, you should try to submit it, and you can I'm also will be available to clear your doubts. Okay, thank you children for watching.